Fancy.
I'm late! Oh, we haven't started yet, have we?
No, you're okay. Why so late, though? You really look like you've been through the mill.
Well, I was down in Kansas this weekend visiting my folks, and dear old Aunt Ann made the most wonderful blueberry pie for me and my faithful dog Legs. Oh, Legs, here, boy. Anyway, suddenly, as I was walking around the perimeter of the pigsty...
Dorothy, look, that's very quaint, but I really need to finish reading Erie before class.
Erie? I only read to Swift. Oh, jump into hostess, and please don't let him call on me.
Sometime you're really going to have to get your act together.
Sometimes I've got my act together. Do you suppose there really is such a time, Legs? But there must be. It's not a time you can get to by waiting or anticipating. It's far, far away. Before Nicastro. Before Erie. Somewhere in 1842 it was rolled with the intent that many benefits would accrue. Sometime in 1842 it was rolled when there are diversity actions and our state statutes. Someday a single common law applied in 50 states for all forever. And then I'll be called in class and won't come off like a jackass. I'll bring my nose. Sometime in 1842, Swift was rolled, transcendental body of law, to be taught in full service law school.
Represent
the Ciprotiers, the Ciprotiers, and in the name of the Ciprotiers, we wish to welcome you to Hughestown, PA.
Oh, Legs, I have a feeling we're not in law school anymore.
Are you a good lawyer or a bad lawyer?
Oh, I'm not a lawyer at all. I'm Dorothy Gale. Lawyers are mean and scary and wear three-piece suits. I'm just a law student, and I'd like to get back to class, so if you'll please excuse me.
No, wait a minute. Our friend Harry Tompkins was walking along the longitudinal path beside the railroad. You and your train came along and snapped his arm. What? There's no really doing that now. What it is now is a good lawyer for his suit against Erie.
And then you can go back to class. You'll have to walk.
How will I find him?
We'll see you safely to the end of TA land. You'll have to follow the longitudinal path. And remember, never let your supplement out of your hand for even a moment. Or else you'll be at the mercy of the wicked Swift. So, it's settled then. You'll represent Tompkins.
Okay. Follow the longitudinal path.
Longitudinal path.
The longitudinal path.
Follow the longitudinal path.
Longitudinal path.
Follow the longitudinal path.
from here.
Oh, anyway, but the way I came from, that's for sure.
You must be Tompkins. The TA's told me about you. I'm going to be your lawyer. So, let's have an interview. Now, Mr. Boulder, Miss Tompkins, tell me exactly what happened.
Well, see, I was walking along that well-trodden path that runs alongside the train tracks.
The longitudinal path.
Yeah, that's and this train came by. The door must have been sticking off. It took my arm clean off. Oh, man, do I miss my arm. I would tie my shoes in seconds. I could play guitar, I reckon, if I only had an arm. I could juggle and do handstands and conduct a big old jazz band if I only had an arm. Oh, I could sit and cry and wallow in my pain, which was very, very surely caused by my collision with a train. But I think that I'll sue Erie, and they surely won't feel cheery when they're paying for my harm. So I'll sue them in the court, and I'll recover for the tort that they inflicted on my arm.
Oh, geez, sir, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, I'm going to be your lawyer now. I'm not so sure it's a great idea, though.
That's great. You'd be a great lawyer for me. I really want to get those Erie bastards for what they did.
I'm not actually a lawyer, but I do have my supplement here.
Besides, I was on my way to see the miller. He could probably help us.
Oh, the miller? Well, if he's anything like my miller, he's sure to be wonderful. What's your miller like?
The miller? He's only the most famous proceduralist in the whole country. We'll have to go visit him in his luxurious library. They say it's got fountain pens from all around the world. And Japanese prints from floor to ceiling.
Well, shall we take the longitudinal path then?
The longitudinal path it is.
Let's go.
Now, we'll have to be careful. This circuit's known to be a bit dangerous.
Oh, I'm sure. In class, we learned about all of these statutes.
Statutes?
And cases.
Cases?
And judges.
Oh, my. Statutes and cases and judges, oh, my. Statutes and cases and judges, oh, my.
Yes, a judge. Don't worry. I'm an activist judge.
An activist judge?
Yes, I interpret laws in ways that help people. You see, sometimes the laws fall behind the facts of life. I help them catch up.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound so mean and scary at all, Mr. Justice.
Brandeis. Call me Brandeis.
Well, it's good to meet you, Justice Brandeis. I'm here to represent this Mr. Tompkins.
That's me.
And we're on the way to see the miller.
I guess I'll join you then. Have this feller get his day in court. Then maybe change a little precedent along the way.
Together?
Together. We're off to see the miller from Avenue M. He really is the run of the mill. He's my bush's favorite son. If ever a wonderlist, there was this miller was his one. We're off to see the miller from Avenue M. Oh, do you think this is the place? I don't see any Emmys.
Okay, I am the miller, the great and terrible. Who are you? Who are you?
Well, if you please...
Louder, louder!
I am Dorothy, the small and weak.
Ah, Miss Gale, right here on my seating chart. Where are you from, Miss Gale?
Well, sir,
I can't hear you!
I'm from Kansas.
Kansas? Kansas? Who in their right mind will live in Kansas? Okay. What is it that you want?
Well, sir...
Louder!
Just that we really... What we wanted to know was...
If I can't do anything else for you, I will teach you to speak up. We are full service over here. Now tell me what is troubling you.
Well, sir, I'm here to... I'm here to represent in the suit against the Erie Railroad Company.
Yeah, I want to get him for what they did to my arm.
And I suppose that we should sue him in New York.
You guess? You guess? You guess a New York court has personal jurisdiction over Erie?
Well, I think...
And what does this remind you of?
Reminded of me?
Wrong! No! It's a good thing Mr. Blaze isn't here. At risk of getting a correct answer. Anybody? Penoyer v. Neff. Don't you know that every time I ask this question, there's a 90% chance the answer is Penoyer v. Neff? And you suppose that this is a diversity case, and it can go to federal court? You're right. But which law should apply? New York law? Pennsylvania law? Alaskan law?
I remember reading something about Swift versus Tyson.
Swift! I hate that ruling. It's been a total bar to due process for almost 100 years.
Glad to see one of you has a brain.
What we should try it in.
I suppose you just have to interpret the Rules of Decision Act differently. Okay. For tomorrow, bring me the ruling of the Wicked Swift. We may get to it tomorrow, we may not. I may have a conference on Wednesday, I might have to be out of town. Don't worry, I reserve the right to ruin your Friday.
Can I add something really quickly?
John, keep it O to Z, John.
I love your shirt. Now, you may not know this, but I was president of this university for 14 years. Until this year, January, I was not allowed to talk about politics. But I am now, so I'm going to give you a little context here. So The Wizard of Oz has some populist undertones. It was written about William Jennings Bryan versus William McKinley. Bryan wanted the free silver. McKinley, I'm sure Arthur knew him well. McKinley wanted a gold standard. Now, McKinley became president, and his Secretary of War, they called it Secretary of War back then. We weren't PC, we don't have decent defense. His Secretary of War was a man named Elihu Root, who was a graduate of this fine law school. Bring it always back to NYU Law. I'm sure you all know where I'm going with this. Get out and vote for Hillary on the do it.
Get away from that strange man!
Oh, the Swift lives in a shady grove not too far from here. We can always take a cab. And there's two companies, though. There's black and white and brown and yellow. They're really territorial for some reason.
Let's just walk. We need some time to think about how we're going to kill this Swift once and for all.
What should we do?
I think I can help with that.
Justice Holmes!
You see, it's all about the common law. You can call it whatever you want, but the common law that a state enforces is the law of that state. Never mind what those Brits across the pond do. There's simply no such thing as a general common law.
But wait, what about state statutes? Isn't that the authority we're supposed to be relying on?
The authority, and only authority, is the state. And that authority can come from its statutes and its common law.
Well, that sounds great, but how will that help us kill the Swift?
With the magic word, of course.
Well, what's the magic word?
Unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional. Of course, it's so simple. Like pouring water on a witch.
Who's challenging my precedent? Is it you?
It's us!
You? Shouldn't you be in class?
We're going to put an end to you, you outdated precedent.
I'll get you, Brandeis, and your majority opinion, too. And you, my pretty, you'll never get to class.
The courts have had it with you and your wicked general law. You wicked old Swift!
You'll never defeat me with that.
You've been criticized for 100 years now.
This is not a popularity contest.
After much deliberation and a little academic research, we hold you to be unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional? I'm melting. My precedent is melting. Oh, what a procedure.
Ding dong, the Swift is dead. Wicked Swift, the wicked Swift. Ding dong, the wicked Swift is dead. Wait
Wake up, procedure heads, rub your eyes, get out of bed. Wake up, wicked witness dead. You thought that you could Photoshop, but now you can't. The gavel struck, ding dong, the wicked Swift is dead. Oh, Professor Miller, we did it. We killed the Swift, and we have the ruling.
I knew you had it in you. See, Brandeis, you had it in you to overturn the precedent this whole time.
I just needed a little helping hand from the Constitution. And Dorothy didn't do so bad either.
So you learned how to argue a case.
Well, I suppose I did. But there is one thing I don't quite understand. We overruled Swift on a purely constitutional basis.
That is what the man said.
But which part of the Constitution?
10th Amendment?
But the parties didn't even mention the Constitution.
Oh,
Brandeis did it
Butler,
all for them.
Go write a dissent.
And now I can recover from my arm?
You can?
Right? Isn't that what we set out to do?
I just told you to kill Swift. Now that Swift is dead, it looks like the New York courts will be trying your case under Pennsylvania law.
Well, that shouldn't be so bad. Pennsylvania's a fine old state, and their law must be too, right?
Oh, I love you, Miss Gale. You can always get the answer wrong. Open your supplement. It has a very well-organized table of contents. Put in there. Read.
Wanton negligence? Oh, no!
Oh no, what?
Oh no, you should have hired someone with more than 6 weeks of law support.
I can't believe this! You're the worst lawyer ever!
Oh, what did we ever do?
Well, Miss Gale, Mr. Tompkins, unfortunately I have to be off. I have a lunch with Ruth Ginsburg this afternoon. You know, the Supreme Court Justice. Very close personal friend of mine.
Oh, please don't go, Professor Miller. Please take me with you.
I'm sorry, Miss Gale. I must be off. You're simply vamping right now.
Oh, now what will we do? I'll never get back to class.
Well, I'd lend you a hand, but I only have one left!
Oh, I wish there was someone who could help me.
Professor
Any longer. You always had the power to know that.
Why didn't you tell her that before she screwed up my case?
Because she wouldn't have believed me. She learned the holding of Erie for herself. That's the Socratic method.
What did you learn, Dorothy?
Well, I think that it wasn't enough to apply the federal common law, and that if the courts ever apply the common law again, they won't have to look any further than their own backyards, because if it isn't there, it really isn't anywhere. Is that right?
That's all there is. And take your supplement, and it will take you back to class.
Legs too?
Of course, legs too.
Oh, it's too wonderful to be true. Oh, but it's going to be so hard to say goodbye. Goodbye, Tompkins. That was the most wonderful hug anyone's ever given me. Honest.
Close your eyes and step on your supplement. Your heels 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And recite to yourself quietly so the other civil procedure professors don't hear. There's no class like Miller's. There's no class like Miller's.
There's no class like Miller's. There's no class like Miller's. There's no class like Miller's. There's no class like Miller's. There's none like Miller's.
Sleeping in class, Miss Gale? I wouldn't even expect this from a Yale graduate. So, now that you're back in the land of the living, please tell me about my favorite case, Erie versus Tompkins, in unrelenting detail.
Oh, Professor Miller, I just had the most wonderful dream. Only it wasn't a dream. It was a case. And you were there, and you were there.
Oh, how very disappointing, Miss Gale. You're still vamping.
Oh, but anyway, Legs, we are back. And this is my seat. And you're all here. And I'm never going to be unprepared ever again. Because I love you all. And, oh, Professor Miller,